So definitely, I want to say that what I face a lot of challenges, or most of my challenges, is as a founder. Because as a founder, I need to deal with almost everything related to my company, from the vision to salaries. As a coordinator, I work with different institutions like Founder Institute, Acelera Angola, and I have the chance to really see what other founders are doing and what we can do to help the ecosystem. The type of people that I met, the young people from India, from the US, from China, my God, they are amazing. And they were 20, they were 21, they were 19, they were 22, and they were already working with initiatives that are impressive.
Hello, guys. Welcome once again to Africa Tech Talks. Tonight we have a special guest, Paulo Oliveira, which is a wonderful young entrepreneur, and also he works at coordinating a lot of events. He coordinates one of the areas for one of the local universities here in Angola, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Paulo. Thank you for coming.
In this amazing podcast. Yes, thank you very much for having me. I want to say that I've been watching your podcast and I've been following, and I've seen some great names here. So it's an honor for me to share this stage with those amazing people that I've also been working in Angola and around Africa for technology development and innovation.
Don't be shy because your resume for such a young age is already fantastic. So let's dive into what you've been doing and what started you. Your path combines finance, digital transformation. What drove you to bring those two together, and why do you feel that you're the right guy to and with the right mission for an Angolan leader to be present in this area or
So
in areas? I
thank
mean,
you for the question. Uh, thank you very much for this great question. Well, I always have been passionate about technology and finance since I'm a kid, right? And I've always dreamed about creating solutions for the challenges that we face here in Angola. And as I have had the opportunity to go and travel to other countries, I could see firsthand that in Angola we were missing a lot of things. So I told myself that I want to work with entrepreneurship and technology because I love technology. And by the time that I was born, I already had technology in my room. I already had computers and other tools that I used to use, right? So I wanted those technologies to be spread to other young people, and I also wanted to use the technology to solve the challenges that we face here in Angola, because we definitely have a lot of challenges compared to other countries, and I really want to be involved on them.
so it has to do with your um, entrepreneurial mind in one side, but also with your bringing up the way that you were brought up by your surroundings with the computers, with all the technology and the challenges that you saw from the country that you live in, and you think that you can make the difference. That's it. And
That's true.
you you're making the difference step by step. You're making that difference. You have to also a dichotomy again between being the coordinator for Universidade Católica's center, and also your own app and your own company. So how do you combine these two, and what is the most demanding role, but also how do you find your innovative energy, and how do you think that you're going to solve Angola's problems with that?
So Definitely, I want to say that what I face a lot of challenges, or most of my challenges, is as a founder. Because as a founder, I need to deal with
Mhm.
almost everything related to my company, from the vision to salaries and to the mission and new products and marketing. I have to oversee everything that is happening in my company. So that's definitely the role that demands the most from me. And as a coordinator, I mostly have to design systems that are going to support every project that we have at the Catholic University of Angola. So, and as a coordinator, it also helped me to connect to a lot of entrepreneurs in Angola, which was not possible before when I was just a founder. As a coordinator, I work with different institutions like Founder Institute, Acelera Angola, and I have the chance to really see what other founders are doing and what we can do to help the ecosystem. Because as a founder, I only look at my company, at what I'm doing, but as a coordinator, I look at the ecosystem and at a broader perspective, like what we can do to help Angolan advance in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of fintech, and in terms of of technology. So this has been very important for me, and has helped me grow as a founder because I deal with challenges as a founder, but also as a coordinator because it helped me to network and connect to different people in different locations here in Angola.
Paulo, one of the other things that it's very interesting about your career and about your path is that you have been exposed globally to SUSI, YALI, and other international initiatives that have been where you have been exposed to, or that you have been exposed to. Um, how has that perspective influenced you in a way that you can act locally in Angola to other countries in the world there and within the SADC environment or countries?
Yes, yes. So Susi was a very important experience that I have had. Susie was at the University of Washington. And before that, I used to think that I was like too young to do things, right? Like I was too young to work on entrepreneurship. I was too young to create solutions or think like someone who really wants to do things. But when I went to the University of Washington, and that's like the seventh best university in the world, right? The best university in the world, and the type of people that I met there, the young people from India, from the US, from China, my God, they are amazing. And they were 20, they were 21, they were 19, they were 22, and they were already working with initiatives that are impressive. So as soon as I got there, I started talking to my friends from India, to my colleagues from India, from China, from the US. I just said to myself, like, I'm not too young. I'm not too young to do things. I'm not too young to create solutions. And there are a lot of things that I can do. So once I saw I saw that reality, my mindset shifted completely. And I also learned that things can be done when we have a strong network, right? Our world mainly operates on working with others, right? Because let's say like there is actually a type of mindset that is has been spreading these days, like the uh, lonely wolf, right? The lonely wolf, like the one who does everything alone, right? The one who does everything alone. But what I saw at the University of Washington was that even though those young people, they were in the US, they were with a lot of funding and investment, they still had a lot of partners. They still had a lot of support from all over the world. So I learned that if I really want to do something, I need to work with other people and I need support from as many institutions, as many people as possible. So like that, I can definitely be successful in my doings. And through YALI and and other initiatives that I have also participated, they also taught me that solutions they need to be according to the context, right? If I'm working on a project like in Johannesburg or in Cape Town, that project might work in Cape Town, but that project could not be a good project for Seattle or Washington D.C. or New York. So a project that is good in Seattle or Atlanta, maybe that project won't be good in Luanda or Benguela. So I really learned a lot about contests, right? So I was in Joburg, I was in Pretoria, I was in Atlanta. So what I saw is that every project needs to operate according to the place, according to the context where it's being developed. So those experiences they really exposed me to the world, and they taught me lessons about um, seeing what us in the country, what resources do you have in Angola, because the resources that I have in Angola I won't have in the US in Seattle, and the resources that I have in Cape Town probably I won't have in Johannesburg. So it's a lot about context. It's a lot about uh, working together. It's a lot about being resilient.
What do you think that can shorter the difference or shorten the difference between the U.S. entrepreneurial mind or the U.S. entrepreneurial situation and context and the Angolan and
Mhm.
African context in general? Okay, because you mentioned that there's this difference, but also there's the difference between Angola and then South
South
Africa,
Africa.
for instance. And
Yeah.
you talked a lot about resources. You talked about probably access to materials, to everything. What do you think that uh, tear us apart, but also brings us together, or can shorter this distance?
Yes, yes. Definitely we there are a lot of differences between what entrepreneurship in Seattle, Atlanta, in the US, and entrepreneurship in Angola, Luanda, right? There are a lot of differences. But knowing that I've been working with my friends, I've been working with them to bring them to Angola. Okay, I've been working with them to bring them to Angola. So I actually one. There is someone that is coming to Angola in November. He's the director of Hub Chimolongong, which is one of the best um, hubs in Africa. They work with fintechs, they work with startups, they work with gaming and animation development. They are like one of the best in Africa. And through my exposure, I was able to connect with him, and he's now coming to Angola to see how gaming and animation and startups and fintechs being developed in Angola, and he's also going to invest on this area. So what I've been trying to do is mainly to connect Angola entrepreneurs to US entrepreneurs to South Africa entrepreneurs. Because once entrepreneurs from the US and entrepreneurs from South Africa, they have the chance to sit and meet with Angola entrepreneurs, definitely entrepreneurs from Angola, they're going to change their mindset, right? They're going to change their mindset. They're going to change how they see things. And we're definitely going to see ways to collaborate. And another thing that I also saw is that my friends from South Africa, they have a lot of funding from France, from Germany, from banks like JP Morgan and other international institutions. They have a lot of funding, and they've been developing their projects with funding from abroad. So what I'm also trying to do is also bring the the international bodies to Angola. For instance, the French Agency for Development, they fund projects around startups and games in South Africa, but they don't do it here in Angola. They don't do it here in Angola. Uh, Yesterday, I had a meeting with the French Agency for Development, and they were telling me that here in Angola they only have funding for the public sector, right? But they also support startups. The problem is that we as Angolan don't have information and access to countries that speak English, countries that speak French. We go to Portugal, we go to Brazil, and we know things about Portugal and Brazil, but we don't know a lot of things about the US and the supports that they have for startups like globally. So what I've been doing is connect them to Angolan entrepreneurs and bring US entrepreneurs to Angola, bring South African entrepreneurs to Angola so that they can meet with us, they can sit with us, and they can actually support the startups, fintechs
Thanks, Rich.
we have in our country.
I get it. I get it. I get it. And it's really important that we can start also putting some some money, not just hoping for the best. You need to invest. You need to put money. We were talking previously about the 1% of compute in the world is done in Africa. It's not enough. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more investment in infrastructure, digital infrastructure, so that we can also move forward. So it's not just probably the funding, but also the amount of um, uh, digital roads that we need to build between countries. We had guests that talked extensively about this, namely Darwin Costa, which is one of the bright guys in this area, and is an evangelist for African digital railroad. Also, I was talking with Ivo the other day. He's not here today because he is not is not one of his days. But we were talking also that most of the people that talk about AI and talk about this type of digital inclusion, they're saying that Africa is the next frontier. You know, the amount of digital creation that can be done here is immense. The strength of the youth. So I think that, and let me be honest, from father to son, this is your role is really good, you know, because this has to come out, you know. And I hope that not only you
Yes.
bring the money and the funds and the railroad for digital transformation in Africa, in Angola mainly, but also that you inspire with your energy, because this is the listening to you is already inspiring. I Let me move forward a little bit on this
Yes.
on your trajectory. You have been connected with the fintech panorama, and uh, you have not only participated actively, but you're also seeking a lot of knowledge. I know that we have a common friend with who you maintain deep talks about this, and you've spoken about the potential of digital wallets. In your view, what's the single biggest barrier fintech must overcome to unlock real economic growth in Angola?
In Angola. Okay. So first of all, it's still access to smartphones and internet. For me, these are the biggest barriers for fintechs here in Angola. Internet access and smartphones. So people don't have access to internet, and people they don't have access to smartphones. So first, we need to have the Angolan people, uh, we need to get them to have access to internet and smartphones. Once they do, once most of Angolan population has access to internet and smartphones, we definitely gonna have a bigger growth in terms of fintech expansion, right? Fintech expansion. I've been watching closely the evolution of initiatives like Unitel Money and Apple Money, right? And because they've been using the USSD, right, to for transfers and payments and so on. Because that small phone, a mobile one, that's pretty much more accessible than a smartphone to the Angolan population. So I definitely think that we need more access to internet and smartphone. Last year, I developed a project which was a boot camp for high school students here in Luanda. I was working with the U.S. Embassy. I was awarded a grant from a Read International based in Washington D.C. And basically, I brought that boot camp so that I could talk to young people and really see not just the gaps and the challenges they face in terms of entrepreneurship, but also we could also see that there are a lot of challenges in terms of internet and smartphone. So we need access to internet and we need access to smartphones so that fintechs in Angola they can grow exponentially, right? They can grow exponentially, and we can like see maybe 2 or 3 digits in terms of growth every year.
Okay. I would like to talk to you after this because I have my own views on this, and let me tell you something that this really changed my mind was when I landed in Conakry a few years ago. I went there, and they have this operating system there for payments where my
Mm.
small cell phone with no smartphone, there was no computing power in that in that phone. Okay, it was just a simple small
Mhm.
hard button cell phone. And I remember I went to this small kiosk nearby the hotel because the guy from the hotel told me, look, you can buy it here, but it's much more expensive. And I was like, okay, let me try it. Let me go to the wild, like whenever you go to a new country, you want to interact with people and everything. So I went there, I talked to them, and it was really interesting because I don't remember taking my wallet off while I was there for an entire month, and there was no need. And even the biggest um, African wallet started with the very small, simple, simple cell phone. So I understand what you're saying. I think that we need to think smaller, probably. That's one of the reasons we're not taking this off. Paulo.
Okay. Yes, I get what you're saying.
We have that, like
Um,
think bigger, and
yeah. So
let's
I
go
was also
great.
thinking. I was
But
also
then you
thinking
also have, whenever you use creativity, you can come up.
bigger. Yes, I get it. Yes. Um. Yes. What I see is that sometimes we tend to just like copy solutions, right? Copy solutions like it's something that's worked in South Africa or anywhere else, and we just want to copy that and bring that to Angola. Maybe we definitely need to act more locally, and in that way, I really agree on what you said about having that small steps, right? Like thinking smaller instead of trying to think on like very big when we definitely can see things in a much smaller way and act act locally according to what we have here in Angola.
Look, it's sometimes we need to approach things with a very small mindset. Africa has. I've lived here for many years already, and it humbled me with a lot of thinking about that. So sometimes it's that, sometimes we come and with your strength. I remember being your age and like, yeah, let's go, and then we come back with less intensity, but uh, looking at the problems, and that's amazing. But look, it's great that you identified the barriers, and maybe I'm wrong with my approach. Um,
No,
you talked about, and this is one of your flags. No, but you talked about one of your flags, which is startup funding. We discussed this quite for quite some time. Um, and as an advisor, because it's your role as well, you see a lot of in firsthand how the struggles are to fund early stage companies, especially in Angola. And I imagine how hard it is to fund companies here, especially in this area, which is not very well known, or people don't understand exactly where this is going. Banks don't have this type of thinking. As you said, people are not informed at some point. Um, what advice would you give to create a solid base for these companies and to overcome the startup funding?
I want to start by saying that when we are talking about startups funding and investment, it's mostly venture capital, right? Which we call capital de risco in Angola, right? Capital de risco in Portuguese, and that's it. So, which we don't have a lot in Angola, right? We don't have a lot of venture capitals to really support startup growth, because if we like, let's say we are startup founders, we think like, okay, I need investment for my startup, and I will go like to Banco Bay or BFIA or any other bank. We know that uh, it 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 it's more probable that it won't happen, right? Because
They will demand the
startups
guarantee.
everywhere, they get funding mostly from venture capital. Yes, they would demand guarantees. They would demand guarantees. So let's say
It's how
I
banks
wanna
work.
I wanna open I wanna open my startup. Yeah, I wanna open my startup, but I'm just 24. I'm just 21. So if I go to Banco Buy, they're gonna ask like for a car, for space, right? So my advice is look for a founder, right? Don't work alone. Look for a founder and start small. Start small. So I started a company back in the days with a friend, and that was basically a language teaching company. We just spent like $15 or $10 for a flyer, right? 15 or $10 for a flyer, and everything was happening online. And within some time, we could get much more money than what we invested uh, early on. So my advice is look for a founder and start small. Once you do that, and see how the growth is mainly happening, because it's it's a lie if I tell you that you're gonna find an investment in Angola as you can find in South Africa or in the US or in any other country.
I'm really, really enjoying this conversation, but I want to go into your last endeavor, which was the FinTech conference. We've talked a lot about this also, your challenges, um, the way that you believed in it. Tell me, it was a great success. What do you think that resonated so strongly, and what are you doing to shape the national talk about around fintechs?
we had a space for dialogue. We brought together entrepreneurs, regulators, and we brought Amish to our discussion, and we set the tone on where we want to see
Amish, just so that
um,
our
fintechs operating in Angola. Just to mention, the CEO of Amish, during the conference, he mentioned one of the biggest challenges that even Amish also faced, right, when they back in the days, like in 2013, 2014, 2012, which was that during that time, Amish sat with the biggest IT companies in Angola, and they said, let's create a mobile mobile money company. Let's create one so that we can definitely have financial inclusion, right? Because when we talk about fintechs, we mostly are talking about financial inclusion, because when we create fintechs, what we want financial inclusion. We want financial inclusion for the farmer that lives in BA. We want financial inclusion for the taxi driver that works in Angola. We want financial inclusion for everybody. Why? Because banks, traditional banks, they don't they let's say like the farmers from BA, from Wambu, and the rural areas, they don't go to buy to the banks to have an account. So we want financial inclusion for everybody. So one of the challenges that was faced back in the days is that there was a lot of interest, because one company owned banks and so on, and that wasn't possible for them to create one mobile money company. And the other thing that was mentioned during the conference was also that um, we didn't have the political will to for a fintech evolution in Angola. So that people can have a little bit of context. In Angola, things work mostly through laws, right? Through laws. So there needs to be a law for something to work. So it's like, first we need in Angola, needs to be regulation first, then there is innovation, right? Then there is innovation. And this is a very, very big problem, because we know that innovators and entrepreneurs, they don't work like that, right? They don't wait for regulation to bring solutions. They bring solutions, then we create laws and regulations for that to work properly. And one of the biggest challenges that was discussed during the conference was that regulation normally stopped innovation, stopped fintechs, because without a law, you can't do certain things. So for the next edition for the conference, we we want the regulators, we want to use the conference to create a law during the conference, a proposal for a law during the conference, so that we don't have innovation being stopped because there isn't a law to regulate that initiative.
Very well. From the takeoffs from the conference were that so EMIS is the national interbanking operator, which owns all ATMs and the connections between them. So they are the providers for all the banks in Angola, which is like a compensations chamber between banks, correct? And they have the digital infrastructure for the banking in Angola. And it's really interesting that you brought up that they are also facing challenges. Um,
Yes, they are the responsibles for the ATMs in Angola. They also are the responsibles for money transfers. Also, we now have Quick. They are also the responsible for that. And they are like they are like a bridge between banks, right? A bridge between banks. They are like working in the middle between other banks. Amiz is also owned by banks, right? Amiz is owned by the largest banks in Angola.
BFA, I think it's the largest the owner of emission. But
Yes.
it's funny because what they're creating with Quick is interesting as it's I wouldn't say copy, but I would say inspired by Pix in Brazil, which is an enormous success, and we're just hoping that it
Okay.
can also um, get a little bit of that success here with that type of product, which is very
Yes.
interesting because as far as the market says, we still have a lot to go. And you're talking about regulation and the regulation, and I understand you. You're saying that too much regulation and the very whenever a government or a regulator doesn't understand exactly what is happening, and this is happening in Europe, for instance, about AI. They're regulating something that there is not any, or there are very few companies doing AI in
Yeah.
Europe, and they're already very well regulated. While meanwhile in the US, none of them is regulated or apparently not regulated, and they're speeding up, speeding up the game. Although I just want to make a small note about this is that
Yeah.
sometimes
Yes.
regulation is not bad. Sometimes regulation is good. Okay, and so that our listeners also don't go like, oh, I don't want regulation. Regulation is very important. Sometimes we innovate around regulation, and that's fine. But in this
Yes.
case,
Yes.
regulation seems to harm more than does any kind of good, right?
More help. Help. Yes. All support. That's sure though. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So like let's say you mentioned like the US, right? Like AI is booming, AI is working, there is investment. Like but and even the president himself is also supporting that, right? He's set with innovators, he's set with companies that are at the forefront working with AI. So just he can make sure that the US is the best in terms of AI, right? In terms of AI. So what I see is that we miss the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in Angola, right? We miss that. We don't have like that culture of entrepreneurs and innovators here in Angola. And this is why like the US is one of like the best places to be an entrepreneur or innovator, because entrepreneurship is embraced as something valuable and honorable, right? Entrepreneurs are seen as people who bring solutions, and the government is not there like to kill innovations, but to support innovation. So regulation, let's say, the main reason why we should create innovation, that should be to support, not kill innovation. We create regulation to support, not never, never because we want to stop or kill innovation and entrepreneurs.
Let's bring the sandbox to the table next on the next conference. A good sandbox will probably do the work and will do wonders. Paulo, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been almost an hour to finish to finish,
Thank you.
and look, I'm literally completely inspired
Yes.
by your energy, by your thoughts,
Yeah. But
and your initiatives.
yeah,
Um, Tell me.
for me, it feels like just 10 minutes passed by. Only 10 minutes passed by.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. No, we just spent here ten good minutes. And I hope our listeners also understand that.
10 minutes.
Paulo,
10 good minutes.
you work with a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. you have that energy.
Yeah.
What message would you send and would you give to all the generation of young African entrepreneurs that are listening to you right now?
Okay. So first is don't be a lonely wolf. Okay. Don't believe on those quotes that appear on Instagram or Twitter or X, right? About like work alone, do things alone. No, no, no. Don't do things alone. Find partners, find collaborators, find mentors, find people that can help you grow and expand your initiative much better and faster. And the other thing that I want to also say is that don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for perfection. Life has never been perfect. It will never be perfect. So with the resources that you have, if you are in Joburg, if you are in Luanda, if you are in Wambu, Benguela, or any other city in Angola, start. Start. And as soon as you start, as soon as you have the will and the energy to do things, you're gonna see that things, the universe is gonna align with what you're doing. So you're gonna, even if your company doesn't get as successful as you are expecting, you still gonna win a lot of things, partners, friends, and knowledge, right? You gonna acquire a lot of knowledge and experience, resilience. And my message is don't wait for perfection, and don't work alone.
Oh, let me tell you my experience a little bit, okay? And I loved your enthusiasm. Fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail fast. Learn faster. And beware with your emotions. Emotions are key to be an entrepreneur. Emotions. Sometimes it's not just knowledge, it's how you manage the emotions of going into this insanity of being an entrepreneur in Africa.
Yes, yes, yes.
Paulo, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I can call you a friend. We've been talking regularly now. So, Paulo, thank you so much for coming. I hope to have you again in the next years, listening about you and your endeavors, and we'll keep in touch. Um, to all our listeners, thank you so much for listening to us. I hope that what Paulo brought to you has inspired you, has brought the flame in you to be an entrepreneur. If you're learning and trying to understand more about fintechs in Africa, in Angola, please search for him. He's a wonderful guy, and he will for sure be someone helpful for you. Paulo, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to have you here.